the world was rocked by one simple revelation. Doug Christie, the loyal husband who stood by Jackie through every scandal, is now shattered. Not because of a rumor or gossip, but because Chris Webber just dropped a bombshell that Jackie thought would stay buried forever. A backstage interview, a sly smirk, and one explosive sentence that turned everything upside down. "I loved her before Doug ever knew she existed." Just like that, the truth came crashing down. And now the internet is on fire. Fans are going back through old videos, replaying VH1 clips like detectives combing through evidence. And Doug? Word is he stormed off set, ripped his mic off, and hasn't said a word to Jackie since. But wait, there's more. Chris didn't just talk. He came prepared. Photos, DMs, receipts, and the biggest shock of all, a voicemail Jackie left him just last year. Buckle up, because this isn't just a betrayal. This is a full-on implosion, and the internet has already picked its side. And guess what? It's not on Jackie's side. It all started with one smirk, one interview, one sly smirk, and a single sentence. And just like that, the illusion shattered. Chris Webber, once a teammate, once a friend, once Uncle Chris to the Christie family, sat on a red velvet couch across from a gossip blogger with 3 million followers and dropped a truth bomb that shook the world of reality TV, NBA fans, and basketball wives forums everywhere. Let's just say Jackie and I were never just friends. Silence. The host nearly choked on her green juice. Twitter exploded. Doug Christie? He reportedly walked out of an ESPN production meeting. Jackie? Rumors say she fainted in her glam. Room before a podcast taping. Because this wasn't just some fling. This wasn't an old flame coming out for clout. No, this was deeper. This was the secret Jackie thought would never come to light, the one buried with VHS tapes and burner phones. But Chris Webber wasn't just running his mouth. He had proof. And these weren't just digital receipts. No, these were vintage, Polaroids, hotel key cards, an old locket with "Si Puisse" engraved on it, and then the voicemail, one Jackie allegedly left just last year. She was breathing heavily into the phone, whispering, "I wish things were different." Different how, Jackie? Different like not being married to Doug? Let's rewind. Doug Christie built his post-NBA life around one thing: loyalty. He was the guy who kissed his wife through car windows, the man who let Jackie control his phone, his bookings, his entire life. Reality TV arcs were created about how whipped he was, but it wasn't just devotion, it was desperation. Insiders say Doug had a feeling something wasn't right for years. The controlling behavior, the paranoia, the way Jackie used to freak out every time Chris Webber's name popped up on TV. She allegedly once threw a wine glass at a producer just for saying Chris's name in her presence. Now we know why. Behind every dramatic confession, every "Doug is my king" moment, there was a lie rotting beneath the surface. Because long before Jackie married Doug, she had Chris. And not just in a romantic sense. Allegedly, Jackie and Chris Webber had a joint bank account under a shell company name, Jack Chris Holdings LLC, back in 1998. If true, this proves their relationship was more than emotional. It was financial. The scandal runs even deeper. Get this. Chantel's name just got dragged through the mud. Here's where it gets messy. Following the DNA test scandal, when Doug found out he's not the father of Chantel Christie, speculation about who the real dad is reached a fever pitch. Guess who just got outed by an anonymous insider? Chris Webber. That's right, the same man who's now exposing Jackie's deepest secrets. Chris may be the biological father of the daughter Doug has raised for over 20 years. And if that wasn't enough salt in the wound, Chris's sister allegedly submitted an affidavit claiming that Jackie visited their family home in Detroit with a newborn baby and stayed for nearly a month while figuring out her next move. You mean her next move was giving Doug Christie a child that wasn't his while pretending they were the perfect couple? Now that's next-level betrayal. The public reaction, ruthless. Comments under Jackie's old Instagram posts are brutal. So Chantel's last name should be Weber. You had Doug out here writing poetry for a child that wasn't even his? People are calling her worse than a soap opera villain. And yet, Jackie has said nothing. No apology. No statement. Just complete silence. Jackie begged me not to tell him, but I couldn't keep the lie going. Doug deserves better. That clip hit the internet, and within hours, it was everywhere. Millions of views, thousands of reactions. Doug became a trending topic on Twitter under Nyashk Pray for Doug. Insiders claimed Doug locked himself in his house for 3 days, refusing to speak to anyone. His ESPN co-host allegedly told producers that Doug hadn't even showered. He was just sitting there, watching old home videos of Chantel and crying. Meanwhile, Chris Webber, cool as ever, seemed unfazed. Some say he even looked smug in his latest press photos. Others believe he's playing the game for attention. But then, things took another shocking turn. Jackie was spotted outside a wellness clinic in Malibu. Paparazzi photos showed her unrecognizably disheveled, holding tissues, wearing oversized sunglasses, and being helped into a black SUV. One reporter shouted, "Did you lie to Doug for 20 years?" Jackie didn't answer. Instead, she looked straight into the camera and smiled. The moment Chris Webber's words hit the internet, everything shifted. This wasn't just an old flame confessing some harmless past fling. This was a revelation that shattered the very foundation of Doug and Jackie Christie's public empire. Fans who once idolized their loyalty and romantic relationship were now tearing it apart, dissecting years of VH1 clips and Instagram posts like they were evidence in a crime scene. Doug, at first, didn't respond. Not publicly, at least. But when he did speak, it wasn't through a social media post. It came via a lawyer. Why? Because Chris wasn't done yet. 2 nights later, Chris went live on a low-key YouTube podcast, one that had no idea it would soon become the most streamed episode in their history. Sitting across from the host, Chris dropped another bombshell. That left no room for doubt. We were together before the fame, before the cameras, before she ever said, "I do," to Doug. The host leaned in, eyes wide. "You mean romantically?" Chris grinned. "Let's just say we made memories, hotel rooms, private trips. I thought I was going to marry her." And just like that, Jackie's carefully curated image was shattered. Fans dug up every scrap of evidence they could find. Someone even managed to find an old blurry photo of Jackie at a 2000 NBA All-Star after-party, standing right next to Chris Webber. That image went viral in under 15 minutes. Then, Jackie's silence became deafening. Her usual social media posts, skincare tips, reality show throwbacks, motivational quotes disappeared. She went radio silent. No stories, no tweets, nothing. It was as if she knew the storm wasn't going to pass. It was only just beginning. But the real eruption came when a voicemail leaked, an alleged audio clip of Jackie, late at night, whispering to Chris, "I miss us. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if it had been you." The audio blew up on Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook groups. People argued over whether it was real or AI-generated, but those who believed it was real, the tone, the breath, the guilt in her voice, said it was undeniable. And then Doug's silence was broken. He was caught on camera storming off set during a VH1 reunion taping. No explanation, no mic. Just Doug walking off with his fists clenched, his face pale, his team trailing behind him. The internet exploded with theories. Was he confronting Jackie? Had he just heard the voicemail? Or was it Chris Webber he was after? Then came the quote no one saw coming. A source close to the family, allegedly a former producer, told a gossip blog, "Doug always had doubts, but he trusted Jackie. Now he's broken. This is betrayal at the deepest level." But it didn't stop there. TMZ claimed Doug had already moved out of their home. Jackie? She was spotted in a luxury hotel lobby, reportedly crying with sunglasses on indoors. That photo? It was plastered on the front page of every gossip site the next day. And just when things couldn't get messier, Chantel, their daughter, posted and quickly deleted a cryptic Instagram story. A black screen with just one line. Truth, always, finds its way out. Was she talking about her mother's secret past with Chris Webber? Or was there more to the story? Fans went wild, speculating that Chantel might have known all along. Maybe she had questioned things, timelines, family stories, and dynamics that never quite added up. Blogs were on fire. Forums were filled with theories. People were digging up the exact dates Jackie was at certain places during Doug's early career and cross-referencing them with Chris's game schedule, hotel bookings, and even paparazzi sightings. One theory went viral, that Jackie and Chris had maintained a secret friendship even after she married Doug, and she only severed ties with him when Doug began asking too many questions. Buried? Not anymore. And now the big question on everyone's mind. Was Doug ever truly in control of his marriage? Or was he just the safer choice, the backup plan? A former friend of Jackie's anonymously spoke to a tabloid claiming Jackie was always torn between the two. Doug gave her loyalty. Chris offered excitement. Jackie wanted both, but you can't live a double life forever. And just as the public was still digesting all of this, the next layer dropped. Chris's family, yes, his family, decided they'd had enough of the speculation. His sister, in a bold move, went live on Instagram and confirmed what many feared. My brother isn't lying. Jackie was in our life. She was family before she ever became Doug's wife. Boom. Confirmation from blood. That moment sealed it. Even the doubters had nothing left to say. Jackie's supporters scattered, and Doug's collapse seemed inevitable. He reportedly skipped out on filming scheduled Basketball Wives promos. His legal team allegedly reached out to Chris's camp with a candid demand, but insiders say Chris refused. He wasn't scared. The truth, he said, was already out. Why hide now? And that truth. It wasn't just personal. It was nuclear. Because this wasn't merely a betrayal of love. It was a betrayal of identity, history, and trust. The very trust that millions of viewers thought they had been watching unfold in real time for years. But now, those years were being called into question. Jackie's entire reality TV arc was under a microscope. Was she ever honest, or was every tear, every argument, every "I love you" just another episode in her own carefully curated show? Doug. Fans were calling him the biggest victim of all. Not just heartbroken, not just embarrassed, but publicly humiliated by the two people he trusted most. And just when you thought the internet would move on, guess what? It wouldn't. Because something bigger was coming. Something that made this scandal look like the warm-up act. The room was silent. Not the peaceful kind of silence, but the kind where you can feel the weight of something dying in the air. Doug Christie sat alone in the dressing room after storming, off-set. His phone buzzed again and again, but he wouldn't touch it. Cameras weren't rolling anymore. This wasn't reality TV. This was his reality now. Meanwhile, Chris Webber's team was already on damage control. But it was too late. The internet had already seen the footage. Jackie, tangled in sheets, whispering things no wife should ever say to anyone but her husband. And now that it was confirmed to be old footage from her time with Chris, the timeline shattered every story Jackie had ever told, every denial, every vow, every "Doug is my forever." But here's where it gets really ugly. Jackie still hadn't made a public statement, not even a Notes app apology, not even a denial, nothing, just silence. And that silence? It was louder than anything she could have said. Then came the real shocker. Chris Webber's family wasn't done. Oh no, they had screenshots. They had emails. They even had a signed birthday card Jackie had sent. to Chris just 6 months ago with the handwritten words, "I still think of you, always will," signed, sealed, scandalized. Doug, completely broken, reportedly told producers off camera, "She made me the fool in front of everyone." The world watched not with sympathy, but with addiction. TikTok sleuths were digging into old Basketball Wives episodes, rewinding Jackie's facial expressions every time Chris was mentioned. Reddit threads exploded. One thread went viral for connecting the dots between a suspicious trip Jackie took during Chantel's birth and an NBA event in Detroit, where Chris just so happened to be. But it wasn't just gossip anymore. A legal bomb was quietly ticking. Doug's lawyer filed an emergency motion, not for divorce yet, but for full legal guardianship of their assets, claiming Jackie's deception made her a legal and financial liability. Harsh words. Maybe. But when you've built your entire public image on loyalty and unity, betrayal burns harder than fire. A source close to the family claimed Doug was seen crying outside his home, muttering, "25 years for what?" His sister reportedly flew in from Sacramento, and when she saw Jackie, she didn't even speak, just shook her head and walked away. Meanwhile, Chris Webber, he was back to business, smirking in interviews wearing sunglasses indoors. Some said he looked smug. Others said he looked relieved. But one thing was crystal clear. He wasn't hiding anymore. That's when the fan base civil war began. Team Jackie argued that she was young, confused, that maybe Doug was emotionally unavailable and she sought comfort where she could find it. Team Doug clapped back with memes, quotes, and raw fury. You don't accidentally fall into your ex's bed on camera. The hashtag, #JusticeForDoug, trended for 3 straight days. Even NBA veterans weighed in. One anonymous player said, "Jackie always had a wild side. I'm not surprised, but Doug, he didn't deserve this." And then Chantel broke her silence. In a late-night Instagram Live, eyes red and puffy, she said, "I've had to question everything about myself. Who I am, where I come from. I'm not ready to forgive." That was the moment fans stopped laughing. This wasn't just celebrity drama anymore. This was generational trauma. A daughter questioning her identity. A father questioning his purpose. A family crumbling in real time. And Jackie? She finally reappeared. Alone. At a gas station. No glam. No ring. TMZ snapped the photo, and fans lost their minds. She looked like someone who'd aged 10 years in a week. Makeup smudged, eyes swollen, and, for once, she was silent. Producers from multiple networks started pitching Jackie a redemption arc and sit-down exclusives. Even a docu-series titled Jackie Unfiltered. But Doug, he wasn't having it. He went live from a local community gym, not to rant, but to speak. Calm. Clear. "I gave my life to someone who wasn't honest. I stayed loyal. I stayed faithful. I stayed present. And in return, I got lied to. On camera, off camera. For decades." He paused, looked into the camera, and said to everyone watching, "Never ignore your gut. Love hard, yes, but not blind." That clip? 15 million views in 2 days. Chris Webber's team reportedly called Doug to offer peace, but Doug declined, flat out. "Some things don't deserve peace," he told a close friend. By the end of the week, Jackie had been dropped from 3 endorsement deals. Her podcast co-host issued a statement saying the show was on pause indefinitely. VH1 removed all sponsored clips of Jackie and Doug from their main channel. And the fans, they're still talking, still dissecting, still waiting for Doug's next move. Because while Jackie fell and Chris gloated, it was Doug's quiet devastation that became the internet's obsession. This wasn't just a betrayal. This was a legacy ruined. So now, you've seen it all. The video, the DNA test, the betrayal, the heartbreak, and the silence that screams louder than any apology Jackie Christie could ever fake. But here's the question. The whole internet is asking right now, Was this always going to happen? Or did Jackie and Chris Webber conspire in silence while Doug gave everything? His name, his legacy, his loyalty. Because this wasn't just a secret fling. This was a knife in the back of a man who stood by her through everything. And now, Doug's in handcuffs, Jackie's in hiding, and Chris Webber's family just poured gasoline on the fire with new leaked evidence that changes everything. So, you tell us, did Jackie play Doug from the start? Is Chris Webber really the villain, or just the man with the receipts? And how much longer can Jackie keep dodging the truth before her entire house of lies collapses?